Okay, so we're talking about doing a halving T-joint. We've basically got all the tools we're going to need. We've got this thing here, it's called a marking gauge. It's basically got a little nail sticking out of it, so be careful of that nail. But once you hold that in place, you can then take it across the wood and it will score perfectly in a position. Okay, we've got the tri-square, we've got the tenon saw. I have a couple of chisels chosen here, okay, and we'll go through which one we're going to use. I have a mallet, but for some reason there's only a few of these. Block of wood, same as mallet. In fact, when I'm holding a mallet often, I'll actually hold it like that anyway, and tap like that because that's how I work it in terms of doing that. So basically, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to do a halving joint. So we're trying to take out half of the material on this piece of wood so that this can slot in there and sit nicely. So this is what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to be able to do this lesson and take a photo of it. So you'll probably need to grab your laptop in here to do that, or your other device. And you can basically then use that. You'll also need images of all the tools we can use. You can actually take those images off the internet rather than actually taking photos of each of the tools. And we're also going to need to write down a procedure, which is partially why I'm sort of recording this. So we're going to start by deciding where, using a pencil, we're going to do this. It doesn't need to be measured for this one, but normally you'd measure it very accurately. We're just going to do it somewhere in the wood. I suggest somewhere towards the middle. Once you've got that one line, you then cover it so that you can't quite see it. And just mark a small dot on the other side, and then use the square to mark that one off. Okay, you then continue both of those lines around both sides. Like that, and like that. Coming in over here. Like so. This is where you get the marking gauge out, and you set the marking gauge to be approximately half. And for this one, it doesn't need to be totally accurate. We're just making a slot to go through, so we're actually practicing the actual process today. But normally you'd spend time with a ruler making sure that that nail is the right distance from there by using a ruler to make sure we measure it up. But then you're going to basically get, looking at those lines, and go from one point there and move it slowly across until you get to the other line there. And you should be able to see that there's a line there, and you can make it darker by filling it in with a pencil. Okay.
What do we do that for?
Okay, that gives you the line that you're going down to, the depth.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so then I'm going to mark, this is what I'm getting rid of, and this is what I'm going to get rid of. And the reason why I've done that now is so that when I go around this side, I don't go from the wrong side, I go from the waste side. So this is the side that's going to be wasted. So this is where I'm going to mark from. Why wouldn't I do it the other way? Because this is not perfectly in center. Okay, so if it's not perfectly in center, if you do it same from both sides, it's going to be the same depth. If you do it one side and then the other, it's going to be out of kilter. So you need to be able to measure that down by marking the line down like so. You can see how I'm holding everything with two hands, not trying to do this with one. And I'm trying to hold that in place. This makes a line there as well. And I'm getting rid of this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, using my bench hook, and this is the bench hook I'm going to use. This is a bad bench hook, I'll go to another one. Okay, this is sort of better. Okay, just to hold it in place, I'm going to use that line there and Same technique I did last time. I'm going to cut inside the line on the waste side. First forward cut confident. Watching the lines carefully, not going outside of the lines. You can always take more off later. You can't add it back. It's really important to note. So as I push through, this saw feels like it's not doing much, but that's alright. And I'm trying to keep it level in this plane here now. And I'm trying to go straight down that line. And I think I've gone all the way on both sides, possibly a bit too far. I'm going to turn it round, do the same thing. Do that first cut confidently. You can see on this side, so you can't see it in the video, but you can see it on this side that my finger's actually touching the blade as it passes through. It's not going to cut me because the blade cuts at the bottom, not there. And that just acts as a guide. And I pull it through to that line again, and this line again here. So you can see there that I've cut down as far as the line that I just scored and no further. It's now time to grab my chisel. The chisel I'm going to choose is going to be narrower than the piece of wood that's going to sit in the glue. This is just a bit too wide. So I'm obviously going to go to the next one down. You'll notice that the chisel has this edge here that's actually angled. That is called a bevel. And it should have a secondary bevel at a slightly steeper angle that you should just see, and I can just see that secondary bevel on the tip of that blade. Okay, when you're using that material, if you do it upside down like this, it's going to lift the material up and that bevel is going to form a flat edge for it to move along. If you do it the other way around, it's going to want to dig into the job and into your work, and you're going to basically dig a hole too deep. Now, in theory, if it's sharp enough, you should be able to push it up against this one here and push it out using pressure, but that's not actually working for me. And you'll also note that I'm starting a bit higher. I'm not taking the whole out at once. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to do it in 2 passes at least. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to use my mallet. And you'll see that I'll hold my mallet up here, or I can use my trusty block of wood for the same reason. And I'm going to push it in at the right height and just lightly tap it in. But I'm not going to go all the way across. Why won't I go all the way across?
Because you can take more off.
Yeah, it blows it out at the back end. So sort of a bad analogy, but sort of like when you shoot something with a bullet, it's a neat hole on one side and a big blasted out hole on the other. This is what it's going to be like as well. So I'm going to basically take that across, and you can see I don't have to tap it very hard. Also notice, what am I holding the chisel by? Okay, what am I holding the chisel by? I'm holding it by the blade, not by the handle. Okay, the handle is actually for hitting. If you hold it by the blade, you'll get more control. So as I'm moving through, just going to bring that right across. Now also notice I'm standing sideways. I'm not trying to do that, but I'm standing sideways. And I'm just going to bring it through. Okay, turn it round, go a bit lower. I'm going to do this in 2 passes. And bring it round. Now as you look through, you'll see that it's not fully level all the way across, but it does go from side to side quite nicely. This is when you basically just pare it out by hand. And just push it out by hand, turning it around every now and then so you don't blow it out the back end, and work it until it is fully deep. Does the part fit? It should fit tightly. Sometimes with a little tap. Now I haven't completed it fully and haven't cleaned it out. I should spend more time doing that. But that's going to hold. Okay, you should be able to get it so that it holds without glue. But when you put the glue in, it will really hold. In fact, when you put the glue in, that will be stronger than the wood around it. Any questions?